What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation. Be a part of the biggest and best daily baseball show on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with the professor, Kyle Hendricks, who had this painted fastball, these change-ups, and got a sword, and finished with 5 strikeouts in 6 innings, giving up only 1 earned run. He battled Johan Oviedo, who had 5 Ks in 6 innings, giving up no runs, and had this fastball, slider, picked up a sword on his slider, as well as picking up a sword on his curveball. A really good outing for Oviedo. Wade Miley had 7 Ks in 6 scoreless innings. He got Ks on these changeups, had this painted backdoor cutter, and got a cutter for a sword. And he outdueled Miles Michaelis, who had 4 Ks in 5 innings, but gave up 5 earned runs, and had these sliders. David Peterson had 7 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 4 runs. He got Ks on these fastballs, changeups, curveballs, and slider. And he faced Ranger Suarez, who had 6 Ks in 6 2/3 innings, giving up 4 runs, and had this painted fastball and curveball. Zac Eflin had 10 strikeouts in 5 innings, giving up only 2 runs. He got Ks on these fastballs, including these sinkers, and at one point had back-to-back backwards Ks on 93-mile-an-hour sinkers glove side. And I overlaid him just to accentuate how good Eflin's glove side command is with those sinkers. He also picked up Ks on this painted cutter, as well as this sweeper. Eflin is now 15-8 on the season with a 3.44 ERA. He battled Griffin Canning, who had 7 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs, and got Ks on his fastballs and changeup. Grayson Rodriguez had 7 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs and 5 hits. Honestly, his stuff wasn't as good as his last outing, but it was still good enough. Because his stuff overall is so outstanding that even if he's not at his best, he can still dominate. He had this 98-mile-an-hour heater, these curveballs, and picked up a sword on one, and these changeups. A huge future ahead for Grayson Rodriguez. He faced off against Hunter Gaddis, who had 1 K in 3 innings, giving up no runs, and had this fastball. Speaking of stud young pitchers, I was really impressed with Emmet Sheehan yesterday, who had 9 Ks in 4 2/3 innings, giving up no hits. He dominated with his fastballs, which is one of the best fastballs in the Dodgers' entire organization, as well as had this sweeper. And I thought his slider, which is a pitch he said he's working on, looked great yesterday. He had 6 whiffs on 9 swings on his slider for a 67% whiff rate, and had this beautiful dead zone slider. He also picked up a K on this changeup. And you can see Sheehan pitching with more and more confidence. And that confidence with this stuff is going to be a deadly combination for opponents. Sheehan battled Kyle Harrison, who had 2 Ks in 5 1/3 innings, giving up 2 runs, picking up 1 of his Ks on this fastball. Max Fried had 7 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 1 run on only 3 hits. He had this fastball and painted slider. But the story of the game for Fried was his curveball. He threw his curveball more than any other pitch this game. And they were absolutely gorgeous. His spin rate topped out at over 3,000 RPMs. And he picked up 8 whiffs on 10 swings on his curveball for an 80% whiff rate on the game. Fried has one of the prettiest curveballs in baseball. I mean, look at Fried's curveball in slow-mo. It is absolutely gorgeous. And here's an overlay of Fried's fastball and curveball. You can really see how that elevated fastball protects his curveball. As a hitter, you see them both coming out of that same plane, and then that curveball just dives. Fantastic stuff from Max Fried. And he outdueled Jake Irvin, who had 1 K in 2 2/3 innings, giving up 5 runs, and picked up his K on this fastball. I still like Irvin's stuff, but pitching against the Braves is just tough. Likely AL Cy Young Award winner Garrett Cole had 9 Ks in 8 innings, giving up only 1 run on 2 hits. He had his overpowering fastballs, this slider for a sword, and picked up 10 whiffs on his slider, and also picked up 4 whiffs on his cutter. Cole's cutter has been a really good pitch for him, and here's an overlay of his fastball and cutter, and you can see why. It tracks the path of that fastball, and then just cuts as you're ready to swing. I also love John Bacon, home plate umpire's punch-outs this game, because he's basically saying "F*** you" in Italian each time. Hey yo, you just K'd? F*** you. I kind of love it. I noticed this a couple of years ago, and the Yankees broadcast team noticed it last night and got a kick out of it.
That's different.
Yes, that's different. Different. It is. Half of my family might be offended.
You know what? You've probably seen that on the freeway a few times, huh? That's the abbreviated version.
Right. It's either that or one individual finger.
Garrett Cole outdueled Jose Berrios, who had 6 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 4 runs, and picked up Ks on his fastball and slurves, and got a sword. Luis Medina had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 4 earned runs. Despite giving up 4 earned runs, I thought his sinker looked good. He picked up a sword on one, and also picked up a sword on his slider. And he faced yesterday's filthiest starting pitcher of the day, Tarik Skubal. Skubal had 10 strikeouts in 7 scoreless innings, giving up only 2 hits. Skubal got Ks on his fastballs, touching 97 miles an hour. But his big pitch for him was his changeup. He had 9 whiffs on his changeup on 21 swings this game, and he threw his changeup more than any other pitch. Heck, if I were him, I'd do the same thing, because on the season he has a 52% whiff rate on that changeup. In fact, at one point, opposing manager Mark Kotsay told his pitchers to watch Skubal work so they can see how to dominate with the changeup. Here's an overlay of Skubal's fastball and changeup, and you can see what makes that changeup so tough. He repeats his mechanics really well, and that changeup just fades arm side. It seems like I've been featuring a ton of Tigers starting pitching lately. So I went and checked it out, and the Tigers starting pitching has the best ERA in baseball since August 15th. There's definitely some hope for the future in Motown. Now on to my filthiest relievers. DL Hall had this elevated fastball. Joe Jimenez had this nasty slider. Drew Smiley had these dirty curveballs. J.B. Bukowskis had these sliders. Kirby Yates had this filthy splitter. Eli Morgan had this slider and changeup. Joe Kelly messed with timing and had this nasty slider. Mason Miller had these wicked sliders and got a knee buckle on one. Reynaldo Lopez had this almost painted 99-mile-an-hour fastball and changeup. Craig Kimbrell got Ks on his fastball and knuckle curve. Evan Phillips had this fastball and got a sword on his sweeper. Emmanuel Clase had this Fat Joe 99-mile-an-hour cutter, forcing the hitter to lean back. It also had this vicious slider. And my filthiest reliever of the day yesterday was Jose Alvarado for these cutters, including this incredible 95-mile-an-hour cutter. And I did this overlay of Alvarado's 100-mile-an-hour sinker and 95-mile-an-hour cutter. And all I can say is good luck. Those pitches would be unhittable even if they weren't tunneled so well, but tunneling them, what are you going to do? Filthy, filthy stuff from El Diablo. And now my pitching ninja moment of zen. Stephan A. Smith threw out the first pitch in the Yankees game yesterday, and things didn't go all that great for him. Yep, he bounced the pitch, short-arming it a little bit. Look, I don't blame him. There are a lot of people watching. And that pitch wasn't that bad. I mean, heck, Vlad Guerrero Sr. could definitely have hit it. But what made matters worse is Brusdar Graterol's mom threw out the first pitch yesterday and threw a gorgeous strike. I mean, look at his mom's arm action. She gets great scap load. I decided to match up Brusdar Graterol's mom and Stephan A. Smith, and you can really see just how much more impressive Brusdar's mom's pitch is. Well done. What is up, everybody? My picks of the day today are a 3-leg parlay. I'm going to start out with Charlie Morton for 6 Ks or more, then take Cole Reagans for 6 Ks or more, and top it off with Sawyer Gibson Long for 6 Ks or more. What was your picks of the day, Big?